So just a quick introduction. My name is Becca Ryan. I am with Madison County Employment and Training. We're the local workforce board down here in southwestern Illinois in Region 9. And we are the administrators of the Gateway Apprenticeship Hub. So kind of brief background of how we got started in all of this. In the summer of 2022, the U.S. Department of Labor awarded Madison County and really the St. Louis region as a whole the Apprenticeship Building America grant through their Round 1 program. This is a 4-year program, and we received about $5.8 million, from which we developed the Gateway Apprenticeship Hub. We aim to register at least 750 new apprentices across the St. Louis metropolitan region, and this is the first joint initiative between Illinois and Missouri workforce areas. Right now, we have a goal of at least 70% participation among underserved and underrepresented communities. We're sitting closer to 94% right now, so really happy with all of our partners' efforts to make sure that we're including those underserved populations throughout the region. When we wrote this grant, it was under the mindset of pandemic resiliency and what uplifted the St. Louis Metro during that time. And so we selected 3 target industries for this grant. Those were education, healthcare, and bioscience. And I will say when we started that, my boss, Tony Furman, said that the education apprenticeships weren't going to happen. You know, we would put the effort forth, but that we really thought our largest successes would be in the healthcare and bioscience spaces, given the large healthcare employers we have in the region. And the locations for Bayer, Pfizer, Mallinckrodt, you know, a lot of those bioscience employers. He was completely wrong. And despite the fact that education apprenticeships weren't happening in the state of Illinois, and we're still very new to even Missouri, that's where the bulk of our successes in this grant have been. So background for those of you who may be coming from the academic space where apprenticeships really aren't the traditional way of doing programs, we'll do a little kind of overview of what is an apprenticeship program. Apprenticeship was 5 core components, and I need to update this. There are some additionals now, but the key piece is that employer involvement, structured on-the-job learning. So that's what they're doing in their workplace. Related technical instruction, or RTI. I've heard that there's, you know, in the education academic space, RTI means something else, but in registered apprenticeships, it is related technical instruction. So that's what they're doing in the classroom, that supplemental education on top of the on-the-job experience. Rewards for skill gains. So, you know, kind of one of the core pieces of this apprenticeship is that an individual is going to see their wages go up as their skills increase, or a progressive wage structure. And then a national occupational credential. So any individual who completes a registered apprenticeship program will receive a credential from the U.S. Department of Labor showing that they've completed the program. And then on top of this, there is also the DEI component that's really been important to DOL in recent years, that these programs are being made available to non-traditional pipelines for the positions. And that's something that, you know, we've really worked into the structure of our grant. So where did we start on the education space? I will say that I actually started on the Missouri side, working with University of Missouri St. Louis, and then took some of the lessons learned from what they've been doing over there and brought them to the Illinois side. So really started with universities, 4-year universities that are, you know, generally helping individuals get licensed as educators in the state of Illinois. Performing surveys of school districts throughout the region and determining what the school districts needed. You know, the primary partner that we had doing this was McKendree University. And so they were stretching into parts of rural Illinois and what programs the universities could offer that would help reduce this teacher shortage that we're seeing throughout the state. Some of the big asks were availability of online curriculum, upskilling of working paraprofessionals who have been loyal to school districts for, you know, anywhere from 2 to 10 to, you know, 15, 20 years, who just weren't licensed yet. Earn and learn models. They didn't want their existing staff to leave the school to go and get licensed. They wanted them to stay working. And then affordable tuition. As we know, paraprofessionals generally are not the highest paid positions. And so finding ways that they can get licensed without going into a lot of debt or just being in a situation where they couldn't afford the programs. So from the get-go on the Illinois side, McKendree was our first partner, and then we've since been working with Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville as well. McKendree is a small private institution in Lebanon, Illinois, really services a rural population here in southwestern Illinois, and then into kind of southern central Illinois as well. And then SIUE is located here locally for us in Edwardsville, being the state university partner that we've worked with. They recently registered their program back in July. McKendree's program was excitingly the first registered teacher apprenticeship program in the state of Illinois. This required some coordination between the U.S. Department of Labor and those representatives in the state, the Illinois State Board of Education, and the educational partners that would be administering this program, and that's McKendree and also their school district partners. Their program is specifically designed as a pathway for working paraprofessionals to get licensed in the state of Illinois, and they call their program Paraprofessional Plus. They do have minimum requirements. An individual needs to be currently employed as a paraprofessional in order to join the program. But McKendree does work with, all of their school district partners. So if they have a paraprofessional opening and McKendree has an individual who wants to do this program and meets the other minimum qualifications, there is some assistance there to place individuals to be working paras while they do this program. School administration approval is essential in, McKendree's model. The school district is heavily involved in the progress of these apprentices. And an individual needs 60 to 90 hours of bachelor college coursework or an associate's degree in order to enter the program. That is because this is a program that culminates in a bachelor's degree, Bachelor of Science in Education. McKendree originally registered their elementary program, and then due to kind of popular demand from all of the schools that we spoke with, they have recently added that special education as well. Their elementary program has an option to get the elementary licensure and then do the endorsement as well in special ed. But then they've registered a program that's specifically for special education. That's generally due to their field hours needing to be in the classroom that they're getting licensed in, and a lot of the individuals doing the program were working in a special education classroom. So shifting them around to get them their field hours in education was one of the challenges that we saw in the early months of starting this program. So having special education was easier for the school administration, and generally the individuals were wanting to work in a special education after licensure anyway. So having both of those programs available really just expanded the options for school districts and allowed McKendree to partner with more of the special education cooperatives in the area as well. With this, McKendree decided that it was extremely important as a private university to reduce their tuition rates to make this a more accessible program to the individuals who are interested. As we all know, private institutions, their tuition can get pretty high. So McKendree's on-campus tuition is around $1,100 to $1,200 per credit hour. Every conversation we had was that's not affordable for a paraprofessional. And so McKendree had a lot of conversations with their leadership, and ultimately this program, they reduced their tuition to around $330 per credit hour. So a really significant reduction in that tuition. Again, focusing on the fact that this program needs to be accessible for individuals. And then McKendree spent a lot of time with the WIOA partners in the area. So our workforce board, as well as St. Clair County, we oversee 9 counties total in the Metro East region, and McKendree worked with us to make sure that their financial aid team understood WIOA, that we had agreements with the WIOA program, offering up additional forms of financial aid for their students. And it's been really exciting to see the school districts also sharing that information as we go and do. We sit in a lot of professional development meetings for paraprofessionals throughout our entire region, and are able to share this information directly with the potential apprentices. Because McKendree's program is for bachelor's degree, their program is 2 years, 4 semesters. And then there are opportunities to take classes over the summer to ease their workload as they're in the heat of the fall and spring semesters. So individuals come in and they do their 3 semesters. They're working and doing their field hours in the same classroom, getting paid for their field hours. And then their final semester, individuals and the school districts really have an option of them staying in their classroom, being paid as paraprofessional and just doing role reversal with the class teacher for their student teaching experience. The other option that they have is if the school district has an opening for a permanent sub, an individual could be selected to do a permanent sub position and do their student teaching in that form. So it is really, each school district does it differently depending on what openings they have available. Obviously, those student teaching hours need to be in the classroom that is at the level that an individual is being licensed. So it's really kind of situation to situation. And it really has enhanced the communication between the university and all of the school district partners, ensuring that everybody has a hand in the education of these new teachers. More recently, and as I think we'll see throughout the state, once one school does this, every other school is going to want to give it a try. So this is something that SIUE had been working on and was able to launch this past fall. We did a lot of meetings to talk about the different models that you can do for teacher apprenticeships and what's the easiest way to get started given the curriculum that the school already has. And SIUE decided that for them, the best option would be to work toward the same goal of upskilling paraprofessionals, but their programs targeted toward paraprofessionals who already have a bachelor's degree, but they are not teacher licensed. And that's something that's very popular in Missouri. That's the bulk of UMSL's program on the Missouri side as well, is culminating in that Master of Arts in Teaching, MAT, and then teacher licensure. SIUE was fortunate to find a great school district partner, Cahokia School District. They were a recipient of Illinois' teacher vacancy grant funding. And what we've done is made sure that we're in touch with all of the schools within, the bounds of our grant that have those funds to make sure that they know that these are, options as, something to use those funds for. McKendree's partnered with several of these schools, but SIUE really built their program around the need of Cahokia, and then we'll be kind of expanding it as they add, additional school districts. So their program is, an individual must be currently employed as a paraprofessional and have that bachelor's degree ability to start working toward the master's. And their 2 kind of focuses are elementary and secondary education, again, based on the need of Cahokia at the time that they registered this. SIUE's program is built out to be completed in 1 year. In the summer, before an individual starts the program, they do their first semester, and it's 3 semester blocks that complete 1 year. That summer semester is a lot of the foundations of being a teacher, making sure that as they go in and start their on-the-job experience during this teacher apprenticeship program, that they have all the foundations they need. And a lot of times that goes beyond the work that the paraprofessional is doing. And so that's really the foundation that gets them started. And then they do additional 2 semesters that complete the year out. And then again, culminates in that state teacher licensure. SIUE is working toward building out their model that matches what McKendree offers, where it's, upskilling somebody with an associate's degree. And McKendree is also doing the same and building out an apprenticeship model for MATs, really making sure that you have a robust offering. And we're seeing it all over our region. One university doesn't have the capacity to really fit the need of how badly we need teachers in the state. And so it's been really encouraging to see a lot of ideas being shared, contacts being shared. Everybody's kind of working together toward this because, every individual is going to be a better fit for one program than the other. McKendree's program is entirely online, whereas SIUE's program does still have some on-campus work. And so making sure that an individual is ending up in a program that's the right fit for them. Online learning isn't for everyone. So having an offering available that is in person, we've definitely seen be helpful. And then also the ties to the community colleges, and we'll get a little bit more into that. The results of this were a little over a year into these programs. McKendree has more than doubled their enrollment in their education programs, just from adding this offering and working with these school districts who are then advocating for the program. They have over 50 teacher apprentices enrolled, and that's just within our 9-county region. Throughout the state of Illinois, I believe that they're pushing 100 at this point. And again, McKendree is a very small school. SIUE has 9 individuals enrolled in their program with Cahokia. In addition to this teacher program, we're also building out a pipeline of new paraprofessionals so that as paraprofessionals skill out of that role, we have a pipeline of individuals ready and well prepared to step into the role. So we have over 65 individuals in the region who are in our paraprofessional pre-apprenticeship pipeline. And again, those are individuals that are working with the community colleges to have all the skills and minimum requirements they need to enter into one of these other programs. In our Region 9 area, we have over 30 school district or school partners. And throughout the state of Illinois, McKendree has over 75 school partners. And then also because of Illinois' really rigorous requirements for teacher licensure and the reciprocity that our teacher licensure has with other states, McKendree actually has individuals as far as Las Vegas doing this program, which I just thought was incredible. And, you know, individuals in North Carolina, kind of all over the country, grasping onto this online program that's then available elsewhere. McKendree works with their schools wherever they're at, again, to make sure that the requirements are all being met. And really, this program has strengthened the ties between our community colleges and four-year universities. I think that this mindset of a four-year degree being the only way is going away, and our four-year universities are recognizing that and having better relationships with our community colleges to make sure that we're still getting individuals to that teacher licensure, which, you know, requires the four-year university, but offering it in a way that's kind of a stepping stone into the position where they can continue working, continue building their skills as they work their way through these different offerings. So what's next with this is we are continually talking to new school district partners. I actually met with another college recently that is also launching their teacher apprenticeship programs. And, you know, we provide a lot of technical assistance there on helping them get going and finding where the overlap is and where there's gaps between all of these schools. Connecting with community colleges. So we have connected with high school programs and adult ed programs that funnel into teacher apprenticeships. We're doing that with Southwestern Illinois College, SWIC, and Kaskaskia College, which is a little bit further into rural Illinois. With this, we have education pre-apprenticeship programs for high school students or individuals in adult ed, getting them the skills they need and the paraprofessional licensure they need to begin working as a paraprofessional in the state while they work on the coursework necessary to enter into one of these bridge programs like McKendree is offering and SIUE will shortly be offering. We've found this to be really beneficial even for an individual who may come in with 60 college credit hours to McKendree, but missing some of the bridge courses that they really need to start, and being able to send them to the community college where we know the class is there, we know that, you know, it translates nicely to the university, and it's more affordable for the individuals coming in, has been very helpful. And we've also, you know, really strengthened the WIOA partnerships with our four-year universities. WIOA traditionally works with community colleges, and we're very familiar with our community colleges in the area, but we weren't having those strong relationships with, you know, SIUE and McKendree and other four-year universities. Seeing that, you know, an individual may, by the time they get to us, may already have the entry-level requirements for a program, but they want to take it that next step. And now we're able to step in and provide some of these additional funds. And we're working with the universities to help them find more funding to support these programs. We worked with McKendree, and they were recently a recipient of the Teacher Apprenticeship JTED funding from Illinois DCEO in partnership with ISB. So we're excited to see those funds be used to pay for tuition for individuals Our grant provides some incentives to the employer that also assists in covering the cost of the program. But really, it's become this regional partnership of all of us having shared conversations, talking about the ways that the curriculum can be reciprocal between the community college and the universities, which I haven't seen on the Missouri side of the river. And it's been really encouraging to see that happening here in Illinois, of just the cooperation to make this program work for all of the students, no matter where they're coming from. And really just seeing the programs grow. Every time I talk to one of our partners, they're continually amazed by how much the school districts are grasping onto this as the savior to our teacher vacancy problems in the state. And we're just, encouraged to keep these programs growing and to see them grow throughout the state of Illinois. So, this next slide really is contact us. This is the big thing in apprenticeships. And I was just in DC talking about apprenticeships with people from all over the country. And it really was like it's copy and paste. We're here to share this information. This isn't a secret. This is information that we want everybody to have access to. We want to give you the easy button to get, your teacher apprenticeship programs going wherever you are in the state, and outside of the state. We talk to people from all over. And it's been great to see the Southwestern Illinois region kind of getting to be the model for this in the state. But this can be done anywhere. And we're all very well aware of that. And again, one school's not going to be the solution to the problem. When we think about the long-term necessities of the field of education, it really requires all of us to be doing the same work, and making this an occupation that's more accessible to individuals who are representative of the students we're seeing in our classroom. So I know it's a lot of information. That's kind of the first thing I say at the end of all of it. And there's a lot of ways you can go. But I'm completely open to any questions, or, off the call conversations, as they come up.
Becca, I have a question. That's okay. Yeah. So K-12 school districts and four-year universities, both kinds of institutions that business services staff may not have regular experience working with. Were there any unique challenges or roadblocks in building those partnerships, specifically in working towards teacher apprenticeships, that you think would be useful for others to know or watch out for?
I think the biggest thing is that people, educators in general it's hard to find time when they're not occupied, whether it's with their planning periods, even when you're looking at school administration. They are very, very busy. And so from the workforce development side, I think it's really important to have some flexibility built into your scheduling. I've done a lot of lunch meetings with school districts, because that's when they're available to have a conversation that's not immediately related to what's going on in the school today. And so that flexibility is essential. And then also just recognizing that the needs of every school are different. Every single school we talk to wants to shift something a little bit to work better with the way they run. And that's just the reality of it. And you see that with businesses as well. They've all got their own kind of twist on their processes. And so again, it's that, and I think that it's something that apprenticeship is very amenable toward, is that the flexibility with the school districts is very essential in making sure that it's working for them. And that ties back to that, employers are the key piece of apprenticeships. They're built to fill employer need. So making sure that you're listening to what they're asking for and not just shoving something at them and trying to make it fit. We've had some schools that tried and didn't like it, and their apprentices ended up moving to a different school district because it just wasn't a right fit at the time. But then not giving up on that school district and working with them to see how you can shift the model to work a little bit better for their internal structures.
And so shifting then to four-year universities, obviously, apprenticeship is kind of a game changer in terms of the way that traditional bachelor's of ed programs operate. Did you see any pushback or resistance to that coming from the 4 years? And then how did you kind of work around that?
I think it's less about the universities having challenges and more about individual instructors. We still, on the Missouri side and the Illinois side, when we're looking at instructors for, specific content, which is why we don't see these programs as much in middle schools or in secondary education, is, when you're talking about making a program or a class more accessible, some of these professors are not interested in shifting to an online curriculum. And, that really is an internal university conversation. But what we've done is share how enrollment goes up when you're offering classes in this format, especially when you're looking at rural communities who, have those transportation barriers of getting to campus, that an individual may be close to an hour away from campus, which a lot of individuals with McKendree's program are. So coming to campus isn't an option. And so if you're not offering them a way to advance without, providing the accommodations of an online format, you're not going to be able to enroll them and somebody else will. And so it really is, I think, a little bit feeding into the competition that four-year universities feel, of how are you going to keep up with the changing of times, because they're changing. And again, we're fortunate to work with schools that are recognizing that and are willing to shift their focus to meet with the current needs, rather than sticking to the status quo. And again, it's not just four-year universities that we have those challenges with. We see it, in the unions when you talk about apprenticeships, especially in a newer industry, they're challenged by it, and they don't understand why the shift is needed. And so it's a lot of having patience, and trying to explain and share information on how really these minor shifts in the way we're doing things are having a significant impact when you look at enrollment, and the success of programs as well. We don't want people to start a program and drop out, but if they're a semester in and they're overwhelmed by the need to be on campus and be at work and get home to their families afterward, you can't really blame them for needing to seek a different route or to, give up and say that it's not for them. So it's really about convincing the schools that it's, meeting people where they're at is the way to improve enrollment, and then to lead to that employment. Employers really are having to learn that same kind of mindset.
Thank you, Becca. And it seems like we got a question in the chat, but I have one more canned question for you, and I thank you for entertaining me, just because this is such great information, and I want everybody on the call to have it. Whether it's a regular employer or a school district or whoever, it's always about what sorts of goodies can you throw in. And I know that with University of Missouri, you guys have a free resource of a train the trainer curriculum. And I wonder if you might tell us a little bit about that and how that might be a value add to any of our practitioners in the field looking to develop one of these programs with their local school district.
Absolutely. So that was actually, UMSL built their own out. They had the capacity to, but it was something that McKendree was seeing a need for, with their school district partners. Not every mentor is a good mentor, and that mentorship is, really essential in programs like this, making sure that your apprentices feel supported. And so we actually, through our grant, have a partner called Fueling Growth Group. Their goal is to build out any of this supplemental curriculum that a university either doesn't have the capacity for or doesn't have the structure for. Universities are less familiar with non-credit programs than, say a community college would be. So Fueling Growth Group hires subject matter experts to essentially deliver online curriculum in the format of micro credentials that lead to a badge. And so there were some professors from McKendree, also some retired teachers and current working teachers throughout the Metro East region who are working on this to build out a training program for teacher mentors. And kind of one of the nice pieces of this is that McKendree is working to be able to essentially trade the completion of this program for some of those continuing education credits that teachers are generally required to take for, their state licensure anyway. And so it really is kind of an initial or an additional incentive to these cooperating teachers who really are the foundation of this program. in supporting these teacher apprentices as they go through, to provide them with an additional learning opportunity, and then those continuing education credits that they need as well. So because that was developed using federal funds, this is open source training. So anybody who's interested, as they build out their program, in embedding this into your process of having your teacher mentors also go through some train the trainer, feel free to reach out to me and I can connect you with Fueling Growth Group to talk about how that all works.
I want to give a little more time for questions. And if you're listening and you have any questions and you're thinking of reaching out to Becca afterwards, I would encourage you to ask it now, just because this is such useful information for the group to have. So there are no dumb questions, and whether it's a question about specific process things or about how the model works, this is your time to ask and everybody will benefit.
I do see a question about asking for our registered apprenticeship standards for the two programs. If you reach out to me, I can send those to you. I have copies of those all. Really, the kind of nice part of these teacher programs is that the state has standards. And so all of our university partners are really building the competencies in their programs, in their work process schedule, around the required competencies that ISB already outlines. But we'd be happy to share those if you reach out. And I also see early childhood education. We are, right now, the bulk of ours in early childhood are on the Missouri side. We just had an easier time figuring them out over there. It really is based around that CDA credential, but then looking at ways to build upon that CDA to, some college experience that can lead to more leadership roles, teacher leads in the classrooms. And then on the Missouri side, we're also working with the YWCA on ways that somebody can go from that CDA to running their own early childhood facility, because, again, major shortages there. There are just not enough early childhood classrooms to fill how many kids we have in the area who need them. And so really seeing it as a growth from an early childhood entry-level position into a business leader who is, able to open more classrooms and then continue doing training to keep these positions filled. So we're working with the community colleges here in the region, again, primarily Kaskaskia and SWIC, to build similar models here, again, framed around, we don't want to just get somebody that first job. I mean, we do want to get them that first job, but we want to see them progress. So we're really doing a lot of stackable programs, where an individual doesn't feel discouraged by, oh, I can only do this program if I'm going to be in it for 2 or 3 years. Giving them the opportunity to do one program and take a break and get familiar in that position, and then have those opportunities to grow through stackable credentialing. So that's a lot of what we're focusing on in the early childhood space here. I will definitely be looking into, Karen, I see that you shared your early childhood program, so I will for sure be looking into that as well. So thank you for sharing.
Absolutely happy to talk more offline. And it was nice meeting you in person last week.
Yes, absolutely. You as well.
Yeah.
Trying to see if I see any other ones in here. And yeah, if you have program specific or you want assistance in talking to the universities, I'm happy to do that. I'll be working with several colleges in the area. I know we have some new ABA recipients in the state of Illinois who will be working toward some of these education programs. So I am available to you all on growing these programs out.
Last call for questions before we wrap up. All right. Well, thank you again so much, Rebecca, for taking time to talk to us today. Again, I'll be sharing her email as in the follow-up email once this is posted online. So you can reach out to her for any follow-up questions. Otherwise, thank you so much, and hopefully see you at the next Lunch and Learn webinar.